Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Answering the Call, Creating a Winning Conference Proposal. So today's goal is to convey information on the type of sessions we're offering at this year's NCAN Conference. And for those who don't know, this is our 25th anniversary conference, so we're super excited about that. We hope that you get excited with us and that you submit a proposal to present at this year's conference.
We want sessions to help attendees use the learnings from the presenter program to enhance their own work or develop a skill to make their program more effective. We want to emphasize to potential presenters that this conference is a professional development opportunity for our attendees who come to learn how to do something new, exchange ideas, and learn from their peers, or strengthen or hone a skill.
So you're probably wondering who is talking. And so on your left, Janice Carroll, I am the Member Services Associate here at NCAN.
And my name is Lindsay Barclay, and I'm the Member Services Manager at NCAN.
So as I stated earlier, our conference this year is our 25th anniversary conference. And just a few things. So this year, the conference will take place in New Orleans, Louisiana. We will be at the Sheraton New Orleans Hotel, September 14th through the 16th. And this year, we're expecting over 100 opportunities to present in several formats. So I'll talk about the formats in a few minutes shortly for you. So at our conference, we have major topic areas. And so these aim to translate into our conference tracks, which help our attendees kind of develop a schedule to see where and what sessions they would like to attend for the day. And so we have 9 major conference topic areas. So that's data into practice, diversity, equity and inclusion, equity and opportunity, financial aid and literacy, K-12 practices for post-secondary success, organizational leadership and capacity building, policy and advocacy, post-secondary access and readiness, and last but not least, student success in post-secondary education and careers. And so you'll see that in our call for proposals application, you will choose from one of the 9 major topic areas, and then there are subtopics that you can select up to 2 of where you will focus in. You'll also find that there are topics that we really want to hear at this year's conference. So if you go and visit our conference page, which is www.ncan.org/page/2020 major topic areas, you'll also find not only definitions for how we define the major topic areas, but there's hot topics that we're looking for that we have identified. So please feel free to check that out. And we hope to engage you in this way and look forward to your proposals. So now that I've talked a little bit about these conference session major topic areas, hot topics, subtopics, what session formats are we offering this year? So there's 2, the Effective Practices Workshop, which for those who have attended an NCAN conference is our more traditional 60-minute presentation format with a maximum of 3 presenters. The second is our World CAFÉ presentation, which is fairly new. This is our 2nd year having this format. And if you want to think about it, you can think about it as a way to have a roundtable, small, intimate discussion with about 10 to 12 participants at your table. So in this format, the presenters present for 7 minutes, followed by an 8-minute discussion totaling 15 minutes and this is repeated 3 times. You may be wondering what the rest of the minutes or time is spent. We like to give attendees the opportunity to rotate. So there is time built in for attendees to rotate to figure out what next conversation they would like to be a part of. We've done some analysis of previous conference attendees and are sharing this with you because we thought, we thought it would be helpful for you to know in developing your proposals what audiences typically attend and come to an NCAN conference. As you can see, 38% of last year's attendees are from community-based organizations that provide college access and success services. This is about the same percentage as the 2019 conference audience. 24% hail from K through 12 and 12% from higher education. We have a smaller percentage of attendees from government agencies, funding organizations, and others, which include research organizations. All in all, our attendees tend to represent a diverse group of stakeholder organizations. So use this information to inform your conference proposal and if selected, your presentation session. So we talked about audience by sector. So now let's talk about the audience in terms of years of experience and time in the field. So here I think it's interesting to note that nearly 40% of last year's attendees have 10 or more years in the field, and 64% have five or more years of experience. Consequently, we really are looking for sessions that meet the needs of not just only advanced practitioners and program managers, but also for some of our newer practitioners in the field. So if you can think about individuals who serve in advisor, counselor roles. 36% have been in the field for 4 years or fewer. So as I've said, we're clearly interested in sessions that meet a variety of levels of experience in the college attainment space. As you may know, our call for proposals process is very competitive, but we don't want that to deter you from submitting a proposal. But this is just to give you an idea of what that may look like. So in 2019, we received over 260 applications for approximately 90 slots. And to break that down for you, so we offered about 94 effective practice sessions and 55 World CAFÉ presentation sessions. So keep in mind that World CAFÉs are happening in a group structure. We expect to receive the same amount this year, and we hope that you include yourself in the pool. So we know that each year the stakes get higher, and we want to continue to provide high-quality presentation sessions to our attendees. So the purpose of the conference. So for those who may be developing a proposal to submit to their supervisor and organization, whether it's to request funds, to present, or as an attendee, we hope that this historical content and background gives you some content to add to that proposal, but also just things to think about and what we believe our conference will offer you. Professional development, capacity building, skill building, and sharing effective practices. So as you develop your proposals, keep in mind the 4 points that I mentioned earlier. So we believe that the conference really is about helping our attendees develop and seek new ideas, nuggets that they can use for when they return to their home organizations and in their role. So we're not only interested in hearing about how successful your program and the outcomes of your program and services were, we want to understand, and our attendees want to understand how your program gained that success, how you were successful, and the strategies that have made your program or initiative a success, and maybe even how you utilize data and research and apply that to really tell the story of the impact of your program and students. We also seek proposals, and this is the part that everyone loves. This is the part that everyone loves, is writing those learning outcomes. So we wanted to provide some guidance to help you think about how you should write those, what we're looking for, and what attendees are looking for. So I also talked about the different session types that we offer. So while I'll hit on learning outcomes, I'm going to hit on some specifics within our effective practices workshop proposals. So we're looking for proposals that clearly identify the learning outcomes participants will achieve by the end of the session. So make sure that you clearly articulate what the audience, after attending your session, will be able to do and implement in their role. We're looking for a fairly limited number of outcomes because we don't expect that you'll be able to achieve more than 3 at any one session. So we've designed the proposal application process so that you identify between 2 and 3 and make those specific. If you're like me and you live more in the academic realm of writing learning outcomes, I always reference Bloom's taxonomy to help me formulate and develop strong learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are important to establish so that members know what the presenter is trying to convey, what they're trying to achieve. Organizing your learning outcomes will help clarify objectives for the presentation, and some other things that we see that when you are able to clearly articulate your learning outcomes, you can plan and develop relevant and correct content and information, relevant practices and strategies. So some questions that you can ask yourself as you're developing and writing your proposal. What are the goals of your presentation? What specific skills and or knowledge will the participants gain from attending your presentation? Will they have some tangible evidence of their time with you? So think about handouts that you can create, maybe some think, pair, share format of learning from peer to peer that you can incorporate into your proposal and presentation. So we thought it would be helpful to provide just some visual examples of learning outcomes. So I won't go in depth and read the slides for you. We'll have this recorded so that you'll be able to go back through it and know that this is not an end-all be-all to what we believe that strong learning outcomes are and how they are written. So in this slide, we believe that the learning outcome on the left is the strongest. So by the end of this session, participants will be able to create a plan for engaging more parents and families in financial aid sessions. And so to point some things out, so the tangible piece is that in this learning outcome, participants will be able to create a plan. So, hopefully this presenter will maybe provide a template and or provide a template filled out with examples of what that looks like for their organization and help attendees have a better understanding of how to cultivate and really cater some of that to their own organization and students and families. This is just another example of what we believe a strong learning outcome is. So on the left, participants will strengthen their social media skills for sustaining the engagement of more students in their success program. So here, it's believed that by attending this session, attendees will develop skills that help strengthen their social media skills. So that could be anything from how they develop the content around that, the messages that they develop, how they engage and think about language that resonate with students in their social media posts, as opposed to participants will learn about the various forms of social media that can be used with students in their program. That we see that as a little bit too broad, so the more that you can hone in and be specific, the better. I hope this illustrates what we're looking for in terms of being specific, having tangible outcomes in the proposals that reviewers will read. We also urge you to make sure that not only your learning outcomes, but your program, your workshop description and abstract align. So make sure that they reflect each other and that you fully captured what you have in your learning outcomes in your abstract. Please be mindful of this as your abstract is what we use in our conference app to help our attendees get an idea of what your session is about. So this is the point where, someone is deciding whether or not to attend your session based on your abstract. So make sure that all of those things align and make sure that you've accurately summarized that in your abstract. We seek effective practices workshops that teach a skill, offer a learning opportunity, and facilitate networking and best practice sharing amongst colleagues. We know for a fact that some of the highest value in attending a conference is that networking piece, is that peer-to-peer education and connecting with others who are like-minded and also trying to enhance their overall professional development and skill set in their roles. So be very mindful, be intentional about how we can do that better in the field as you work on submitting your proposals. So I alluded to this earlier in terms of supplemental materials that you can provide and offer in your workshop session. So we highly recommend using tools such as worksheets or templates to encourage attendees to think through what they're learning, what you're teaching them, so they can apply it in their own work. And anytime, I know for me, when I can walk away from a presentation with things to work on, things to think about, it gets me really excited about the work and bringing it back to my colleagues at my organization. So really think that through, and we highly encourage that you implement that into your session. How will you engage your audience? And so throughout, hopefully you've heard or I've sparked some ideas about how you can better do that. And so we have asked in our proposal application process for you to talk through and share with us how you will engage your participants. So earlier I talked about think, pair, share. And so, that's when you have two individuals, they kind of turn around in their seats and they just share dialogue with each other, which is typically prompted by the presenter. And then they have the opportunity to share out what they learned, whether that's something new, something that resonated with them in that conversation. And so that's one way that you can engage your attendees. We strongly encourage you to think about this in-depthly, and right, we don't expect you to create and present an interpretive dance, right, that expresses what you've learned in the session, but please use good practices for adult learning to get your attendees' minds and bodies engaged and active for your session. So other ideas that could work well depending upon your presentation topic, maybe some role play, having actual real case studies, which that have students real life, real situations in real time. We do discourage an all lecture or a presentation that attendees could potentially feel that they are being talked at and not being engaged in a way where, you know, they're utilizing their active listening, they get to raise their hand, Q&A, and so on and so forth. So continue to think that through and think of ways that you can further engage your audience. So you've heard from Jamise quite a bit in this presentation, and now I have the honor of passing it on to Lindsay. So Lindsay, why don't you take it away for us?
Sure thing, and thank you, Jamise. We are excited that this will be the second year that NCAN is offering World CAFÉ sessions. The hour-long World CAFÉ presentations will give attendees the chance to have small group conversations about several related topics within the 60-minute session time frame. World CAFÉ sessions are intimate, but to conceptualize the presentation space, imagine a small cafe with red checkered tablecloths and engaging conversations taking place throughout. That's the vibe we're going for with these sessions. The large meeting room will have up to 8 round tables, with each table set for 10 people. One presenter will host each table, and the 8 related presentations and discussions will take place simultaneously. These 8 presentations will all touch on a different aspect of a broader theme, such as data and research, equity and opportunity, post-secondary access, and readiness. These align with the conference tracks Jamise described earlier. The presentation at each World CAFÉ table will make a 7-minute presentation and then facilitate about 8 minutes of conversation and knowledge sharing among those seated at the table. After 15 minutes, everyone but the presenter will switch tables and have the chance to explore another topic and participate in another conversation. It's kind of like musical chairs. During the 60-minute session, each attendee will have the chance to participate in 3 15-minute table discussions, and presenters will make their presentation 3 times. If you have any questions about this format, please feel free to contact me. My contact information is included at the end of this presentation. Regardless of the session type you choose to submit, here are some things we are not looking for in a proposal submission. We are not looking for a dog and pony show. What I mean by that is we aren't looking for session proposals that are essentially saying, this is my great program and these are the amazing results I've achieved. We're looking for sessions that talk with rather than at attendees for both the Effective Practices workshops and World CAFÉ sessions. For the Effective Practices workshops, please do not plan on including more than 3 presenters. Generally, there isn't enough time to hear enough substance from any one of them and still have time for audience interaction. Finally, we are not looking for sessions that are advertisements for a particular program or curriculum or service or product. This is just not the right form in which to sell a product. If you're interested in showcasing a product or service, please consider applying to be an exhibitor. A dog and pony show could work if you include a toolbox. I don't want to think that you can't showcase your program. We understand that you're proud of your success and want to toot your own horn a bit, and that's great. But please help your session attendees understand how you got to where you are today, rather than describing where you are today. For example, you can talk about, this is our program, this is what made us successful, and this is what we've learned, and this is how you can apply what we've learned. Or you can talk about, here's our research. Now let's consider how you can apply this in your work. Or you can discuss an obstacle and how you overcame it, and prompt your attendees to think through how they can overcome their obstacles too. Come prepared to share your toolbox with attendees, especially for the Effective Practices workshop session. Here are some other ideas we'd like to share that don't necessarily apply to proposal submission, but they are good presentation practices. Take a moment to ask yourself, do I really need to use a slideshow? If the answer is yes, consider providing copies of the presentation as a tool to leave with participants. Or better yet, make sure you provide NCAN with the slides well in advance so they can be placed in the conference app. And during the presentation, please use the presentation as a guide rather than a script. We have all been to conference sessions where the presenter is reading straight from the slides that are inevitably 10-point font, and frankly, that's just not the type of session we want to host at the NCAN conference. We urge you to use slideshows as an illustration of the point that you are trying to make rather than as a script. For the World CAFÉ sessions, you can use slideshows, but it's not required. And if you're going to use a slideshow, I recommend you refer to a great website maintained by Dr. Stephanie Evergreen, who provides some fabulous ideas on leveraging data visualization. Maybe you've decided, no, I don't need to use a slideshow at all. Maybe you want to provide a handout that highlights your key points and any references you cite, such as websites or research documents, and perhaps distribute it at the end of the session so participants don't get distracted from the presentation during your precious time together. Finally, think about other documents or tools you can leave behind with the audience for their use at home. Perhaps worksheets, templates, sample plans, data collection documents, etc. Something attendees can use to think about how what you presented applies to improving or enhancing their work at home. If you have any questions, please email us at conference@ncan.org. And I'd like to shout out my colleague Janice for creating this email account to consolidate conference questions and make sure that you get the answers to your questions fast. If you have any questions about submitting a proposal, please contact us at conference@ncan.org. All proposals are due by midnight Pacific time on Friday, March 20th, 2020, and presenters will be notified in mid to late April as to whether their proposals have been accepted.
Thank you and good luck.